Welcome back to a new episode of Death Blow Podcast. Big announcement, Death Blow Podcast is even on Facebook, other than Instagram and Spotify, Google Podcast and Apple Podcast. You find all the links in the description below. Welcome back guys, it's me Darkel on a new episode of Death Blow Podcast. On this new episode I want to talk about Satyricon band, a band composed by Satyr and Frost. Let's go into details. Are you ready? Let's start. Satyricon has composed by Satyr and Frost. Satyr, real name Sigurd von Graven, was born on November 28, 1975. He is the most important member of Satyricon because he is the founding member. And then we have Frost, real name Kjetil Vidar Haraldstad, was born on June 28, 1973. According to Wikipedia, the band was formed in 1990 as Eczema by the bassist Wargod and the drummer Exultum. In 1991, they decided to start playing black metal and changed the band name to Satyricon, always according to Wikipedia. Then another member has been united in Satyricon, Havard Jørgensen, called and known as Le Marchand. He is a songwriter, guitarist and vocalist that has been for a short time with Satyricon. And then he entered into Ulver band. We could say that Satyricon had many band members during their own career, until nowadays. I'm very curious to listen this Satyricon first demo that is called All Evil, with Satyr as vocals lyricist, Le Marchand guitarist and lyricist, Wargod as bassist and Exultum on drums. Are you curious? I think so. So let's start with the analysis of this demo. The beginning of this demo reminds me a lot to Darktron. I really like the dissonant chords here. I really like the drums, like Ferris style. And it's not like classic black metal that is fast, but it's even slow. And it's like Darktron. Good solo part, even if it's a little bit confusing, the solo part, and the guitars are very dissonant, which is very good. And the only thing that I don't understand is the bass, because I think that at the beginning it got wrong certain notes, but all good at the end. I really like this exchange of tempo from faster to slower, and these vocals are very intense and atmospheric. At the contrary of Bullsum demos, the quality of this Satyricon demo is better, and this is something that it is important. When you listen a demo or a LP or a record, it is important the sound quality, because it is important to distinguish the instruments when you listen to music, especially a song or two. If you're not able to distinguish the instruments, it is a bad thing. It is not very good, because the sound has many black holes, so to speak. So you are not able to distinguish, okay, the drums are there and the guitars are here, but where is the bass, for example? Which it is very important to recognize this. One big influence for this Satyricon demo is even Burzum. I can understand the influence, especially about the guitars, which it is very important to recognize to them. In the second song I can perceive the drums changed a little bit the structure with a counter tempo part, which it is very good. It is very fast here, the drums. I really like the vocals on this second track. And even the guitars are very dissonant, like the previous song, but it is faster and faster. The sound is very primitive on this Satyricon demo, and this is the strength of this demo. I can perceive the influence of Mayhem and Burzum while they recorded this, because certain parts are from Burzum and other parts are from Mayhem, because Mayhem were the pioneers during the 90s. I think that Satyr have been influenced by these two legendary bands. Euronymous guitar riff always influenced many bands, and especially these single notes that are similar, like for example you listen to Life Eternal or other tracks like the Mysterious Dom Satanas, you can recognize the single notes that together make a perfect structure. That is, it is obviously from the Mysterious. It is very clear that Satyricon took all of this on this demo, and I can recognize even from solo parts, especially Life Eternal influenced them, in my opinion. And this arpeggio almost at the end makes me think to Burzum, especially Oscar, and even Detso Mengambar. I can perceive it there. But comes even from Bathory, this structure. And this was Olival, recorded on June 22nd, 92, recorded on cassette, but not in a professional studio, so it was probably home recorded with stereo and microphones. Next Satyricon demo is obviously The Forest Is My Throne, released in 1993. Contains the last recording of Howard Jorgensen called Le Marchand, and with the introduction of Kjetil Vidal Rastad called and known as Frost. Reading the lyrics of The Forest Is My Throne, I can perceive that Satyr, the lyricist, wants to describe the landscape of Norway. Winter is at hand as two torches blaze in the dark. A warrior dressed in black grant an eternal life. This is Black Winds. And then in The Forest Is My Throne, second track, through years of knowledge, men rode the wings of evil. Through the enormous winter, 3 years without the summer, prepared for the battles of the north. Which it is very poetic. I like the way he has written and described the winter. That is, could be even a sort of relief of darkness, because the darkness we have inside needs to be released. And Satyr may be describing with these words the winter, the power of the nature, in this case the soldier, the Viking that is ready with his sword to kill, which it is very atmospheric and dark. Released in 1983, like I said, by Moonfog Productions. Was recorded in cassette, but not in a professional studio, so obviously it was probably home recorded. In The Forest Is My Throne demo, I really like the beginning with the keyboard. The sound is a string effect, and I think even orchestral effect. And I really like this reverb effect with the drums that are probably on reverb, which it is very good and atmospheric. Seems like you are in a dark forest, admiring the nature, full of snow, full of darkness, even the black clouds flying on the sky. And then this big explosion with these heavy guitars and heavy riffs. I really like this dissonance and these drums that are very very fast, even the bass, very good. The drums I could perceive that is almost the same that Gorgoroth did years later, but the most influence is Darkthrone here. I could perceive from the drums and even from the dissonant chords of Notturno Culto effect. I could tell you, Satyr is one of the most talented black metal vocalists of all time, because he's able to describe the darkness through his vocals, and this is very important when you play black metal and when you are listening even black metal. It is important to listen and then to recreate that atmosphere, and you can perceive that Satyr here was a very big listener in important albums like The Mysterious Dome Satanas, but even the Transylvanian Hunger of Darkthrone, obviously Under a Funeral Moon, and even A Blaze in the Sky. I like the variation of the tempo, from counter tempo to other blast beat parts and other techniques all together, which it is very important, the variation in black metal. Otherwise it is like a rap sound. This is not good, otherwise it would not be true black metal. The scream of Satyr is representing the darkness of the nature, how could make you vibrate in a very different level. It's like you are living in a different dimension with this music. I really like this effect of the drums from faster to slower, like in All Evil that we saw before, and the variation of tempo, technique of the guitars and even of the bass. I really like a certain part of the song where I could perceive Bursum technique. Exact dissonant chord of Bursum recreated, rearranged for black metal. I like this mix between Darkthrone and Bursum of this demo. The vocals of Satyr are really amazing. I really like even this effect with the keyboard of a thunder at the end of the song, which it is amazing. I really like this effect of the laughter to create this dark atmosphere and these demons around you that are looking a potential victim of it. I really like the keyboard string effect, dark ambient atmosphere together with black metal, which is amazing. It's like you are admiring the darkness. Makes me think to the strength of nature, with the wind, with the snow, with the rain, and you are able to think, to be a new person while you are admiring around you this darkness. I really like this wind effect, the beginning of the third song, Hillest till Winterland, that is an ambient track with classic guitar. This track in particular reminds me a lot to Bathory, and as you remember in a previous episode dedicated to Porton Bathory, I talked that Bathory influenced a lot of bands, especially on the guitar. Very good arpeggio with this wind effect, very good this slide with a classic guitar. Reminds me even a little bit of Metallica. Really like this delay effect and reverb, very perfect. The introduction of the last track, that is The Night of the Triumphator, it was certain a way to shock the Christians. And when you read the lyrics, of course you perfectly understand what Satyricon are talking about. Free yourself from the chains that have been holding you for 666 years. We await sodomy and destruction. And another phrase, and we sodomize the dirty whores of Babylon on Christian ground. On this night we torture the betrayers. Night, night, holy night of the triumphator. Rape the nuns, hang the priest, cut the throat of the crying Christians. Here Satyricon showed to have the guts to write and talk about certain arguments that are not very fine and comfortable for Christians. They want to describe sodomy in toto. For them, it is even hearing the screams. So that's why the beginning, it has been probably in this way. Talking about the music and the arrangement, the introduction is very good of the drums and the guitars, very fast and obviously with a blast beat, and the vocals and screams of Satyr are very good. The riffs remind me a lot to Mayhem, especially Euronymous guitar. Good variation of guitar here, especially on the riffs, which it is very good, the variation. Reminds me of thrash metal, especially like Slayer and Metallica. The guitars are very thrash metal. I really like this effect on the vocals that is very demoniac. Very fast riffs here, very good. Very good drum solo. And the ending, like the beginning, this is amazing because like the demo started, it ends with the same effect of the keyboard, which it is particular. Thank you to have participated with me on Deathblow Podcast episode dedicated to Satyricon Part 1. Soon will come out the Satyricon Part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, click on the bell, like and share, and don't forget to even follow me on social media, Instagram and Facebook right now. And if you want to listen old episode, go to Spotify, Google Podcast and Apple Podcast. But for now, see you soon guys!